Kevin.
Hello?
Hey,
Hello.
you're on.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Great show. I'm an atheist myself, and I have a quick question I wanted to ask you guys. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm listening.
you're on. You're good.
Go on. Go on.
Did we lose Kevin? Kevin?
Oh, well, that sucks.
I think we lost Kevin, but we have his...
We know what the question is.
Yeah. You called us to ask about this supposed recent... How many does it make this time now? Noah's Ark has now been discovered something like 36 times.
I don't know. There was an incident in Turkey where there was an actual. I mean, this was like decades ago, but there was a guy who was an actual deliberate fraud. He got this wood, and then he like boiled it or something to make it look old, and then he took it to some organization that looks up. That tries to justify these Christian stories.
Sure.
And then, even after he said it was a hoax, they didn't say anything.
Right.
I mean, they wouldn't let scientists examine it. Now, this time around,
and of course, it's sources like Fox News and WorldNet Daily are reporting on this. No legitimate news outlet is reporting on this.
Right.
But apparently, earlier this week, there was yet another discovery of what the discoverers are claiming is Noah's Ark on a mountain in Turkey, and they've supposedly... This is interesting. They've carbon dated it to 4,800 years old. This is the claim.
Yeah. So
isn't it
now they
interesting?
believe.
Yeah, isn't it interesting? Now suddenly, carbon dating is something that Christians accept, right? I mean, you try to show them fossils, and you try to show them all different sorts of archaeological, proof and paleontological evidence for. Well, this is how we date dinosaurs, and this is how we date the strata. And they say, "Oh, well, that's just fake. It didn't work." And then, but when it comes to,
then they say, "Don't you know that carbon dating has been proven to be completely unreliable?
Yeah.
Why, there was this rock that I dug up 10 minutes ago, and it was 70 trillion years old."
It's like when you carbon date the the Shroud of Turin to demonstrate that the cloth doesn't go back much farther than, say, the 13th, 14th century. Then carbon dating is a fraud. Right. But when it comes to but suddenly it's not a fraud now when it's their ark. Yeah. Here's the thing: discoveries like the Shroud of Turin and Noah's Ark are really great ways that you can witness this odd sort of love-hate relationship that fundamentalist Christians have with science, right? I mean, on the one hand, they really disdain science because it's science's job, essentially, to piddle all over their beliefs, right? They have, whatever their religious, teaching tells them about the history of the world and where people came from or this, that, or the other thing. Along comes science with all of its, research and its evidence and everything else. And sticks its little willy right in the middle of it all and spoils the fun. So they really have this disdain for science, but at the same time they recognize, well, in a contemporary, modern, rationalist culture, rationalist society, you kind of have to have some scientific backing because that's how you're legitimate, right? That's,
It's a lot like what I was saying when I went to Peoria a few weeks ago and got to lecture and basically do sort of a live version of the Atheist Experience with Matt. One of the things that I brought up in my talk was, they used to think, the Egyptian culture used to think they knew the answer to why the sun moves across the sky. It's because Ra carries it in his barge. And I said, well, I don't want to seem closed-minded here. How many of you guys think that Ra carries the sun around in his barge? And, the thing is, these answers eventually fall out of favor. And, I mean, people eventually wind up at the scientific answer. The scientific answer has general credibility among people, even if they don't want to deny it. I mean, even if they do want to deny it. Let's see.
But that's the point is they recognize in science an agent of prestige, right? I mean, as much as they can't stand evolution, as much as they can't, they understand. All right, well, this is how we have to go about things in order to be accepted in today's world. So, this is why you get things like the Turin Shroud, and this is why you constantly see creationists trying to reformat old school creationist beliefs into things that like intelligent design,
Well, I
make
mean,
it sound
they called
all
it
sciencey.
scientific creationism first, when just creationism didn't fly.
Right, so creationism evolved basically into more and more sciencey sounding beliefs in an effort to sort of gain legitimacy. But at the same time, they always wanted to bypass the actual scientific method,
Right.
which is experimentation, peer review, have it, and just have it legislated directly into the classrooms without having had any
Right.
of their
So-
ID go through the actual process of rigor that you have to go through to say, oh yeah, this really works and there's evidence to back it up.
So in this particular story, case in point,
Right.
there was a group of Christians that held a news conference to announce that they were 99.9% sure that we had found Noah's Ark. Now, as far as I could tell, that's not any different from them just saying, we're pretty darn sure. But sticking a number on it. Now, I
Yeah.
mean, if I was going to make a pseudo-scientific fake press release, then I would say, like, we're 92.7% sure, because that would sound like not a number that you just made up.
Yeah, well, you sound like you spent a little more time making it up, thinking about it to make it up than.
Right, but they're 99.9% sure,
Okay.
which is pretty darn sure. But I mean,
So what about this finding
faith
makes
means
them-
that you could be 99.9% sure about everything, because if it was wrong, then God would have led you astray, and that's not possible.
Yeah, well, there's a 99.9% chance of that. So what was the evidence that
What
makes them
was
think
the
it's
evidence? Let's see.
99.9% likely that this is Noah's
That's a good
big
question.
boat?
I wish I were more up on this story, because
Was there
I think
fossilized
the main thing
Triceratops
wa-
poo? What?
I see.
mean,
Maybe of course, this is
Having a hard
Fox
time finding
News that
that,
I'm
yeah.
coming from.
okay, so it's not actually a news article.
Yeah, but I see that Dr. John Morris, who I believe is the spawn of Henry Morris, who
Okay.
made up the term scientific creationism, is the lead archaeologist
Oh.
at the Institute for Creation
Research.
Yeah, that's the
Uh-huh.
one. Oh, no, wait.
What's he
and
say?
John Morris says, I'm leaning towards that the Chinese people have been deceived.
Oh, so he's
Oh,
the
boy.
0.1. He's taking the 0.1 side that this might not be the thing. Is that what he's saying?
Yeah.
You have this
okay.
actual ICR guy saying that this might not really. Oh,
Doctor-
there's a schism. There's a rift.
Dr. Randall Price, head of the Judaic Studies at Liberty University, which is Jerry Falwell's outfit.
Don't you love this? We have fake newspapers, fake websites, fake universities, fake science. This is great.
And it's reported as
No
if
wonder
it
they
were
like fake
news.
hair and fake boobs. And I mean, it's just wonderful.
Has
And
been a cohort of the Noah's Ark Ministries international team until 2 years ago. He pulled out of the project, sensing they were being taken advantage of by Kurdish guides who have turned ark searching into a cottage industry.
that is just, I mean, they can see them coming from a mile away. Oh
So-
boy, here comes some more of those white American Christians. Cha-ching, right? Yeah.
So
Quick, go get the wood bits.
So
Go
Randall
get
Price, who was in this thing up until 2 years ago, by the way, this is a more recent story than the big press release. This,
Oh, okay.
I just looked up the last thing I could find. Price said, I think we can't rule out the possibility that this is a hoax, because a lot of things, the things that happen in that region of the world, and especially with the Kurdish guides that are involved, are designed to extract money from gullible people. Folks, religious discoveries in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, even if let's say, setting aside the whole little problem that all of the creationists who believe in Noah's Ark, that believe that it was actually settled on Mount Ararat in Turkey, haven't really understood their scriptures very well, because the scriptures don't actually say that the boat came to rest on Mount Ararat. It says that it came to rest on a mountain in a land called Ararat.
Okay.
Which is one of those weird semantic things, but at the same time, how would you know it was Noah's Ark? Even if you found a boat. Let's say that you went up a mountain and you found a boat, and maybe it was even a pretty big boat. Well, how would you know it was that boat, right? I mean, would you expect to find registration papers in the glovey or what? Saying it's Noah's? Would you expect to see a plaque?
Yeah.
Or graffiti, or how would, I mean...
I don't know.
It's just wonderful, wonderful.
Okay, so next we got
Well, see,
Right,
that we
so
lost
that's
that
what
call,
we think of
but
Noah's Ark.
we were even able to just go off on that call, even though we lost the call.
That was fun.
That's what's just one of the wacky things that happens around here.